Good day, everyone. Thank you for clicking on the video. My name is Dexter. I am here at my friend Jim's place. I am in Costa Rica, and he is quite the intelligent person when it comes to his mechanical knowledge and expertise with things. It's just above my head. Anyway, he's also super knowledgeable about a lot of health issues. He's made this contraption where you're taking the shell off coffee seeds or fruit or beans, whatever they're called. He just explained this to me and it blows my mind. I just want to share a bit of what is going on in this process and his insight into the whole coffee industry and why you should be more conscious about what you put into your body.
This process we're doing is called chankar, and it's removing the fruit from the coffee seed, what we want. So the fruit of the coffee is this, and this is what we end up with after we run it through the machine, and then we're going to do another process to float the fruit away and separate the seeds, dry them, and then we're going to roast them to make our coffee that we're familiar with. So we pick this from the land that we live on here. This is organic coffee, and to be able to process this in small batches is a difficult process because the big producers, they want to do hundreds or thousands of pounds. And so we had an issue of how do we do this, and the traditional way is one by one. You take the bean and you pop it out one by one, and it takes a very, very long time. So we looked around and we had one of these very common little hand crank grinders that they use for corn, and we took the hand crank off because that takes too long. And we took this little thing that controls the pressure on the plates off because that didn't really do what we wanted either. But we found that the auger inside was about the right size to split this off. So we set this little thing up. We use a fork for a spacer to keep the plates of the grinding wheels apart. We're just using the auger part, which is this, just the little screw part inside. And we're keeping the plates separate. So I'm just holding this in place while we use a portable drill. So, a very small scale operation, but we're producing coffee here for our household. This coffee has been organic for a number of years. This was bought as a private residence, but there's still coffee from the old coffee towel, and it's really great coffee. So as far as why organic coffee, that's one thing Dexter was talking about. My background is I'm a chemist. I came here to Costa Rica and I saw that they're using an absurd amount of pesticides, herbicides, fungicides here, and I talked to friends of mine who grow coffee and they say that organic coffee basically doesn't exist. And what I realized is they're just about right. Coffee production of organic coffee has decreased dramatically in past years. And the reasons are multifold. The biggest reason is the market demand. And if there's not a market demand for organic coffee, then there's not a premium paid to the growers to grow organically. And it's easier and cheaper to grow using herbicides and fungicides. Right now, the coffee farmers get paid 20% more for growing organically, but their cost involved in growing organically is much higher, and their yields are generally lower, unless they're applying some rather sophisticated methods of controlling fungus and insects. The biggest issue right now is fungal diseases, ojo de gallo and roya. And roya is devastating coffee around the world, and it dramatically reduces the yields, and it often kills the plants as well, but at least it cuts down by 20% or more the yields. And every coffee plantation we see is infected with roya, including ours here. And there are some controls that can be done organically, but they're not in common practice, and there's no incentive for them to be in common practice because the people have no reason not to just use the chemicals. So the other issue is herbicides. It's a lot cheaper to spray an herbicide to kill the material that grows below the coffee plant rather than going in there with a machine or chopping by hand as it was done traditionally. And the herbicide of choice is paraquat. And paraquat is very damaging not only to the environment and to your health, but to the worker as well. Paraquat absorbs through the skin and dissolves lung tissue. There have been many cases around the world where people have spilled paraquat on their clothing, not gone home and changed immediately, and gone home at the end of the day to die, basically drowned in the own fluids as their lungs dissolve. And there's many cases that you'll find here where people that have worked in the coffee towels, the coffee farms, for many years, and they have respiratory issues as they grow older. And these people are only in their 40s or so, but now have a great deal of problem breathing just because they've been working around me so long. And they've been told that they're safe. So I want to try to see what I can do to help improve coffee growing organically in this country and around the world as best as possible. And I feel the best way of do that is increase demand. So I want to educate people what's in their coffee. And we plan to do chemical scans to show people that in every cup of coffee that you drink, there's paraquat, there's probably still DDT, there's various herbicides. The coffee process is a fairly toxic process, and it's passed right through to your cup of coffee. There's 3 general reasons for choosing to vote with your dollars by purchasing organic coffee, whatever, but especially coffee in this case. This is where I live, and this is where I see the impact of it. We live in one of the most beautiful areas in the world. This is one of the best coffee regions in the world as well. And I'd say that those 3 reasons are: number 1, for your own health. And that's fairly obvious. And anyone who doesn't believe that an organic product is healthier than a non-organic product doesn't understand the chemicals that are involved and that are passing through in whatever that you're eating. Secondly, it's for the health of the workers, for the people that work here. A good worker who works very hard all day long might make $18 picking coffee, and it's a hard, long day's work, and it takes a lot of talent. If I go out and do the same thing, I make $6 in the time that they do, because I just don't have the experience. So it's a very low-paying job. These people are surviving on this, and it's killing them. And the third reason is for the environment. If you could see the rivers running brown here, and the Pacific fisheries are dying, the rivers are dying, the fish catches off the coast here are much lower than they have been. The fishing industry is basically wearing out. There's also high mercury loads, high cadmium loads, these heavy metals. These are a direct result of the runoff, because basically the more soil that goes into the sea, the more of the metals that are involved in the food that the fish eat. And so the mercury levels are very high, so the fish is not very high. So the health impacts are multifold. We're killing the rivers, we're killing the oceans, we're killing the people, not only that work here, but also that consume the fish and the products that are produced and everything downstream.
Organic, fair trade, shade grown, healthy coffee.
Not to mention delicious, it's better.
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica, pura vida.
Pura vida.
Feel free to contact Jim for more information and insights.